In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God.
But this was not God's way. This was the way of man. This was the war. There was death and destruction. There was devastation, complete and all-encompassing. In the beginning of the post-war period, there was misery in the East. And there was also misery in the West. The Orient was a vast mass of sullen despair. And Europe? Europe was a tormented hulk, the only movement the hurried steps of frightened refugees. The only sound, the wail of hungry children. That was the world in the beginning of the post-war period. And the need was so staggering, so overpowering, that only powerful governmental and international agencies could begin to help in feeding the hungry and homeless. But governments are man-made units created for temporal problems. And religious organizations were soon recognized as partners in solving some of the tremendous problems of relief, particularly as they applied to spiritual needs of the people. So when some of the governmental relief agencies had to be curtailed, humanitarian and religious organizations became more and more important in their impact upon the relief and rehabilitation programs. The United States had been more fortunate than the rest of the world. The war had not damaged our lands. Rural America was a veritable Eden in comparison to the devastated farms in the rest of the world. American farmers wanted the whole world to share the peace we know in this country, and never again such a horrible war. Farmers in this country understood probably better than anyone else that food is the foundation of peace, and they began to build that foundation with the abundant, nourishing, life-giving produce of their own farms. It seemed that out of adversity, C.R.O.P was born. C.R.O.P is composed of 3 organizations: Catholic Rural Life serving war relief services, Church World Service serving 29 Protestant denominations, and Lutheran World Relief serving churches of the National Lutheran Council. These 3 church relief agencies cooperated to form C.R.O.P, the Christian Rural Overseas Program. C.R.O.P was something that worked. It worked exceedingly well. It saved lives, more lives than anyone had predicted. The reason that it worked was that it appealed directly to American farmers. It appealed to them to contribute a portion of their own bountiful harvest in the form of their own crops and their livestock. Most important, it worked because it appealed to American farmers through their faith. A faith in Christian values that has sustained the world in its worst crises. And American farmers responded with contributions of crops to meet the tremendous worldwide problems of the needy, the aged, the children, and the countless millions of homeless refugees. And the results were greater than anyone had foreseen, because food given through C.R.O.P did a great deal more than feed people. Because the food was identified as coming from American farmers, because it was distributed through church agencies of the farmer's personal choice. There was immediate, sincere thanks. In Germany, school children displayed this token of appreciation for C.R.O.P food which they received. In Japan, where LARA, Licensed Agency for Relief in Asia, distributed C.R.O.P food, they gratefully said, thank you very much for your warm sympathy with us. But there was more than just thanks. There was a rebirth of faith in the usefulness of living. People who felt that they had nothing to live for, that there was no hope, that nobody cared whether they lived or died. People like these people discovered that somebody did care, even though they were on the other side of the world. Something else also happened. The churches in Germany, for instance, with the building demolished in some cases, were encouraged in feeling a direct financial responsibility, not only for their own charity cases, but also for the unfortunate strangers and refugees who came pouring into the country. Starving people have nothing to lose and will follow any doctrine, no matter how little they believe in it. American farmers had discovered a fundamental truth in international relations: that people with enough to eat are less susceptible to the subtle appeal of tyrants. Food is the foundation of peace and friendship. This the farmer knows. Meat is more important than manifestos. Today, farmers are the world's statesmen, and their policy is simple. The simple Christian ethic of food for the hungry and friendship for all in need. And the Christian Rural Overseas Program is designed to help the farmer express his policy and to help him carry it out. One of the most significant things in C.R.O.P has been the friendship food ships and friendship trains. In many states, the governor is the honorary chairman of the C.R.O.P committee. There are also chairmen at the county and the community, township, or school district levels. As the local canvassers make their rounds, the designations begin to pour in, and by harvest time, the commodities themselves are prepared for shipping. Each local unit or county loads its goods into boxcars, and then the friendship train is on its way. From 20 states, an advance shipment of 60 carloads rolled to Chicago last year. This food was loaded on the Friendship food ship, which left Chicago's Michigan Avenue Bridge on United Nations Day. Many other shipments have followed. This Friendship food ship arrived at Bremen on November 28th. After an impressive shipside ceremony, the food was loaded into boxcars for distribution by the particular church agency, the agency designated by the farmer who gave the food. All 48 states will be given an opportunity in 1951 to contribute carloads of food to go to the nearest ports for shipping. This friendship food will be loaded into ships destined for the areas of greatest needs in Europe, Asia, or the Near East. Wherever in the world there is hunger and want. American farmers through C.R.O.P have been doing this kind of a job and doing it successfully because the food has been distributed through church channels of the farmer's own choice, solely on the basis of need. Since this has been done and done well, why then does the need continue? Why, for instance, are farmers in all 48 states being asked to contribute to friendship carloads, to continue cultivating their friendship acres, to contribute a share of their harvest to the Christian Rural Overseas Program? Where will C.R.O.P commodities be sent in 1951? Why is there today a greater need for C.R.O.P than ever before? The answer is that even today, for many people, neither the war nor the fighting is ended. There are still these homeless, forgotten, hopeless people of Korea, of India, of Palestine. Some, like these widows and orphans, have never had an opportunity to get onto their feet and enjoy the life that they knew before the war. For them, there is no longer a stream of life to which they can return. Their husbands and fathers are dead or missing. Their government is too poor itself to help them very much. There is very little work they can do. Others who will be helped by C.R.O.P. in 1951 are the aged, who are too old to work. These older people have been thrown upon the mercies of the public, a public already too busy trying to rebuild its own shattered way of life to take on the additional responsibilities of caring for old people. Still, a third group of forgotten people are the children, the orphans caused by the war. Surely they are without blame for the fate that has fallen upon them, but they have within them the seeds of destruction. In our own country, orphans are cared for by relatives who take them in with their own family, or by the government, or by soldiers' pensions, and many times by church agencies which feel a close responsibility for them. But in Europe and Asia and the Near East, wherever there was bombing and war, orphans have been created in an unprecedented number, and it's up to the people of our own country to decide whether these homeless, aimless, bitter, worldly-wise children will be left to shift for themselves, whatever that empty phrase may mean, or whether they will be taken into church homes and orphanages, where they will find not only warmth, love, friendship, and food, but will also be led into the paths of spiritual truth and righteous living. Orphans all over the world will receive a large share of C.R.O.P. food in 1951. Another reason C.R.O.P. is needed in 1951 is that as nations spend more for defense, they cut down on relief expenditures, and the first cuts always fall hardest on those who are a liability in a war economy. The people who will be eating C.R.O.P. food in 1951 will be people who have not been helped by C.R.O.P. before, or who have been helped by C.R.O.P. before, but have not been able to make themselves employable for reasons of age, sickness, or an impossible situation. But the world itself is in a seemingly impossible situation. In the presence of such tremendous evil as our generation finds itself, facing such overwhelming problems of peace and war, the Christian farmers of America, truly statesmen in overalls, are setting a new pattern for worldwide understanding. With their own hands and their own crops, they are laying the foundation of a better, more abundant kind of world. Give generously of your crops, for food is the foundation of friendship and peace.